Good morning if you're on the West Coast. Good early afternoon if you're somewhere near the middle, and good early afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Hey, everybody. I'm Steve Smith. I'm the communications manager at Curator. I am so excited today. We've got a really great session to share with you all, and an even better guest to an expert to talk about our topic today. Today, we're going to share how to build your personal brand to become a locally known expert. Secretly, this maybe not so serious. This is all about community. This is all about understanding your mission and your purpose, and finding clarity, and then leading and serving your community, leading and serving your team. There's so much value that our guest today can speak to and can share that honestly, when we were talking before this, trying to figure out like what we should even discuss, it was like, all right, like what's the best way to get the as a framework to get the most of your contributions and the most of your thoughts out to the public as possible. I'm so glad to have Mindy Jones here with us today. Mindy is the owner of the Amy Jones Group in Arizona. Mindy has been a curator client with us for, I think Wendy just said, 8 years. She's been with us for a really long time. We're coming up on a decade together, and I'm just so excited to have Mindy as a client, as an ambassador, and as a friend, someone who is just a tremendous contributor to our community and to the industry at large. Mindy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh my gosh, that was quite the introduction, but I am so grateful for the partnership that I've had with you guys. And this has been so fun putting this idea together. I can't wait to talk to everybody today.
I'm so excited for it. So, before we dive in, I just want to say hi and thanks to everybody who is joining us on Zoom right now, and say hi and thanks to everybody who's joining us on YouTube right now, and to all of our clients who are watching in our mastermind as well. We are live multiple places, which is exciting. Which means we've got some friends on our side of the Zoom apparatus that is here to help get your questions, your feedback to us. So we've got Ashley and Wendy with us today. You can't see their faces, but you'll see them in the chat throughout. You might even hear their voices if you ask a good enough question that makes them want to unmute themselves and holler out. So we're gonna this is an interactive session. We want this to be as casual as possible while also providing lots of value. So I'm really excited. So please, if one of the things that I want, as we continue to do live streams and training sessions like this, I want to do our best to tailor our training and our content to our audience and what they're looking for. So, one of the questions I have for you today in our audience, as I'm about to ask Mindy about her journey and to share a little bit about her journey in the industry, is if you're watching live right now, drop in the chat, how many years have you been in the real estate industry? That's something that I'm always curious about, is where folks are in their journey. And while you're dropping that in the chat, Mindy, will you talk a little bit about your journey in the industry? I know you've been in the business for over a decade now, but I don't. But so, will you tell us a little bit about your foray into the industry and where you are now?
For sure, yeah. And I'm excited to see what people post here in the comments. Looks like Beverly, 39 years, Dave, too long. I'm sure you
Too
have gray
long.
hairs like I do. Uh-huh. Yep, I see that. Yeah, so you're right, Steve. This is actually my third career. So I started in the nonprofit sector and worked at Phoenix Children's Hospital, one of the 10 largest children's hospitals right here in the Valley, which we're so grateful to have an organization like that here. Went into the tech space for a while. So did sales operations, so like the numbers and the business side, and then also did training for our products for our partners. So did a lot to figure out what people needed and how to translate what we had into something that really made sense for them. And then I think one day I was complaining about having to travel for work. And my stepmom said, well, if you were a real estate agent, you wouldn't really have to travel anywhere. And I said, okay, challenge accepted. And I got into real estate. And so that was about 13 years ago. But the reason I got into it is not the reason that I stay. And the reason that I stay is because I found an incredible platform for helping people and an incredible opportunity for me to be able to pick and choose who I work with, how I serve, and how I show up every day. And real estate has been exactly that for us.
that is that it's so important to define. People talk a lot about the beginnings of things and the ends of things. It is
That's right.
so easy to overlook that in the middle is it's not one decision, it's a daily decision.
Hmm.
And that's to stay, but it's also the daily decisions that you make that affect your career, that affect your life, that affect the people around you. And that's why I love talking with you so much, is you have such a keen understanding of that.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting about what we're talking about today, which is brand, is that it's a constant evolution. And I think sometimes what happens with people is they identify a brand for them and they maybe spend a lot of money or time putting together this brand package and how they want to show up. And then they don't do anything to revisit it. And over time, I think the brand that they've created isn't flexible enough to live and grow with them over time. And as humans, that's what we're doing, is we're constantly evolving and changing. And so what I did very early on was to look at what are the things that are important to me. What had I done in my previous careers that made me successful? So, was it that I was resilient? Was it that I was resourceful? Was I positive? Was I good at organizing people? Like, that's going to be different for everybody. But looking at what are the things that made you successful before, and then reflecting on where you had wins that made you feel really good. So we all remember stories, right? So maybe it's the single mom that you helped get into a house after a divorce. Maybe it's in your different career, you helped a family through something really challenging, or someone who didn't know the area. Like, you'll always have these moments of these stories that really meant a lot to you. And that starts to clue you into the things that are important to you, your values, your passions, not just what it is that you do to make money, but how is that thing that you do to make money your platform for showing who you really are?
What It's a beautiful way of putting it. I know you've even in your this is your like you said, the third phase of your career. This is the real estate phase. That's not the only hat that you wear, is my understand,
Mm-mm.
right? There's community on purpose
That's right.
is not just a slogan for you and for your real
Mm-hmm.
estate group, but it's also a literal nonprofit organization that you've created as well.
Yeah, that's right. So when we started really what the Amy Jones Group looks like today, which has been really a decade in evolution. So I think it was actually right after we started to be intentional about what the brand looked like as I took over the team and knew that this was something I wanted to do for a long time, that we connected with Curator. And so over that decade, we've gone through a variety of different changes as we started to get really clear about who were the people that we were serving and what were the problems that we were solving for them. And our nonprofit service is something that I have done from the time that I was a little kid, organizing on my, second grade playground, which I'll share that story another time. But this is just something that I've always believed in. I've always believed we were not meant to do life alone. I've always believed that we can do more together than we can do by ourselves. And I brought that into our organization, not only from a leadership perspective and how I led my team and created volunteer opportunities, giving opportunities for them, but also in how we showed up for our community. And we showed up first in the places that they were, the communities that they needed in times of need, the places that served them when they needed help. And so after several years, we realized that our partnerships were so strong and so deep in the community, both with people and with nonprofits, that we created an organization called Community on Purpose. And those two words show up consistently across all the brands that I run. And it's the idea of community and it's the idea of being on purpose with what we do. People will often say that community happens organically, and I call BS on organically. I believe that it can feel natural, and that is a testament to being in alignment. But community happens because people step up and make it happen. And so we created Community on Purpose to support organizations that are serving youth and families and to build opportunities for women in leadership and business. And so that alignment allowed our clients to get more heavily involved in the opportunities that we had, gave them give back, ways to serve. And it also gave our organization that nod to the authenticity, the trueness of who we were and our brand was, that we didn't only say these were the kind of people that we were, but we showed up as that kind of a person in the community.
I love the way that it empowers your team to
Mm,
not just have the mindset of the way that we help families is an important thing, is a real estate transaction, and obviously agents already know that on any day, what does real estate agent mean? Often, there are so many roles that you play that involve the being a family counselor,
mhm,
being somebody's ally or advocate or represent in more ways than just the real estate transaction. That it seems like
mhm,
it almost like it makes it so you can't say, well, that's not my job. I don't think a lot of realtors say that to begin with, because boy, is everything kind of end up being your job. But it gives you a place to put that focus, to put that energy.
mhm,
I'm one like so many. I see so many agents on their sites, in their bios. They talk about, how many homes sold last year,
mhm,
or how many families served last year.
mhm.
When you have that hand in hand, the real estate aspect of it, but then also you have an organization, or you support an organization that allows you to say that. Mindy, do you know off the top of your head, last year, how many homes sold for the Amy
Mhm.
Jones Group last year?
Yeah, we sell like 150 homes a year, but we impact thousands of families every year because it's not just the single home, it's the connection to the communities that we're helping them build. I mean, we have renovated teen centers at an out of school program for youth here in the Valley. We have rebuilt shop closets for the House of Refuge that provides services for families. And when we meet a family and we help them with their move, we're ensuring that we're understanding all of the things that are important to them. A lot of times when people come to us, they have all kinds of questions because they're people just like we are, right? We're a team of 12 women. We run families, we run neighborhood meetings, we take our kids to school, and we have clients and we work fiercely for them. But without the connections to the community, we would not be able to show up that same way for them. We get more resourceful every partnership that we build in the community. We can offer more tools to our clients. We can meet them where they're at. We can anticipate the questions that they have because we've built a network of people that look just like them.
So that's where like so often on a stream like this, and curator and myself, we've probably even been guilty of it too. We'll talk about like, oh, here's an email strategy that's going to help you
Mhm,
generate more leads and more business. Oh, here's a technical thing that you can do that's going to, and all of those can be really effective. All of those can be great. And you obviously need technology to support and empower
mhm,
the strategies that you employ. But sometimes those end up being, in the spirit of trying to provide tactical help. Sometimes it is like, oh, here's a tactic. Here's a thing you can do today that might juice the algorithm, or it might juice your business, or it might get a little bit of reaction. The stuff that you're talking about thus far, even pretty early in this, feels very holistic. And I think that sometimes that doesn't sound like, oh, like I can just start doing that today. But like, I just the ease with which you speak about it, and the calm energy and the positivity that comes from it, it feels like one of those things where I know it's not a go send this email, go send this text, but it does sound like it supports you to do things like that on top of that.
it is accessible to everybody, and that's why we talk about it so much. So it takes technology, and we're very pro technology. Technology is there so that we can have a further reach, but the message and the vision has to come from us. And as a business owner, you have to be very clear in what are the things that you want people to say about you when you're not in the room. What are the top 5 adjectives that you want people to use to describe you? What are the first things you want people to think of when they think of you? And for me or for our team, I want those to be things like community, real estate, family, helping, serving, resourcefulness, on purpose. You'll hear those words over and over again because we've specifically curated our technology to support that messaging. So it's layered, right? You said it's holistic. To me, I look at it in terms of being layered. And it's layered in the same way that we layer our communication with our clients, right? So, say I come to you, Steve, and I have some really bad news to share with you, right? And I anticipate that you're going to take it really hard. If I give you a call and I give you the bad news, I've now not checked to see if this is the right time to have this conversation, right? So often we're having the right conversation at the wrong time. So I call
Mm.
you, I have the conversation, I ask you to make some type of a decision or tell us in the moment how you feel about it. You're still processing, you're still having the emotions, right? I'm not going to give you your best outcome in that moment. I'm not being the best guide for you in that moment because I haven't layered our communication, right? I can send you an email and give you some of the content, and then I can ask, does this time work for us to chat? Then I can give you a call once you've had some time to process it on your own, because the people we work with, they were whole people before they met us, right? They had a process in which they dealt with their challenges in the world, and we need to give people the space to do that. So we layer our communication to help be the best guide, and the same goes with how we market. We layer our marketing tools to them. So you may get an email, then you may see us in the community at an event, and then you may get our newsletter, and you may get a phone call or see us on social media. It's these pieces that are being layered to people over and over again that are consistently showing up in the same way. And, sometimes I'll say, like, if someone calls to join our team and we're clearly not the same fit, we don't have the same values, passions, whatever, the first thing I think of is, what did I post that made this person think that we were similar? Because
Huh.
my content, my messaging should be so clear and consistent that people are attracted to us because it's something they're looking for. And we hear it from clients all the time. We saw you online. We love what you do for the community. We love the connections that you have in Chandler. We saw, so they are able to regurgitate the messages that we want people to know and to feel about us.
So people see you online.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is important to note that it's some of the things that you just said are one-to-one communication. So you're talking about an individual text or a phone call
Mm-hmm.
versus, or not versus, but including newsletters and things on social as well. So just
Yep.
that framework that you remind yourself that the people that you're talking to one-on-one are also in your audience on social and in your email
That's right.
blasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about some of those component parts, like when people are reaching out and you're saying, like, so social's a big thing that people are very, that obviously we put a lot of focus on social media. It's where a lot of people spend a lot of their, let's say, idle brain time and also some of their active brain time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one social media channel that you particularly focus on and find that you get more interaction and engagement from, or are you casting a wider net on social as part of your brand online?
Yeah, so I mean that's evolved over time too, right? I mean, I remember a time when we were primarily on Facebook, so a decade ago, right? Was primarily on Facebook. All of our marketing and strategies revolved around what we were doing on Facebook. Instagram was becoming more popular. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm good on Facebook. I have a holistic strategy. I'm not a very shiny object person because all of my stuff is so layered and integrated and done with intention that it's not, you couldn't just like take a piece out of here and just plug it in. That's not what I think works. That's not what builds sustainable messaging to people. And so Instagram started getting busier and I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I realized one day I was getting my nails done and I looked at the people on both sides of me and they were both scrolling on Instagram. And I was like, I am not being a good role model for my team, telling them to evolve. And here I am sitting next to people who are in the same place as me, right? Because this is what you have to remember about your brand. You're speaking often to either people that are like you, which I think is most authentic, or people like people you want to be, which you can do, but you have to push yourself to get into those rooms, right? So here I'm at the nail salon with ideally probably my, target audience sitting around me, and they're on a platform that I've said I'm not investing in, right? So we opened up our strategy into Instagram. We did not leave Facebook behind, but I'm very comfortable on Instagram. So we've built a platform there that allows us to integrate all of our tools. So we can create landing pages for our events. We can highlight our partners in the community on our website. We can put our new listings on our website. We can use our website as our hub. And then on all of our social tools, primarily Instagram and Facebook, we can then include stories. So more day in the life of stuff, the stuff we're using to build trust with our clients. They will ultimately get to why we're good at what we do. But what we want them to know first is that we're good people and they can trust us. And trust isn't something that you can force. We do it often, right? You go to people's websites and it says, we're your trusted advisor, or you're, and it's like, oh, did you all just get together this morning and decide that you're trusted?
We're
Like you,
trusted.
right. Like we don't get to do that, right? But we can fast track building that. And the way that we do that is by showing up consistently and authentically in what our brand is. So on the socials, you'll see more day in the life of stuff. At any time when you hit my social, it's, community, it's I'm a mom to a crazy almost 6-year-old kid. I am in a leadership position, which I take very seriously. And so you'll see all of those topics on our social at any time with lots of links that then take you back to the proof that we are who we say we are. And maybe that's an event, maybe that's a website, maybe that's a community partner, but we use that tool to drive back to the actual proof that shows we are who we say we are.
Do you mind? I've got your Instagram pulled up on my
Yeah,
computer here. Do you mind if I go? And what
totally
I
fine.
love about it is it how active it is. What I love about it is how real it is. What I love about it is how we're talking about these different topics, these different facets of your business where you want to show up. And I see
Mhm.
so much of that. I see these days, I see a lot of agents seem like they're speaking to other agents through their social
Mhm.
media more than
That's
they
right.
might be speaking to the real estate, which is
Which
totally fine if you've
it's
chosen.
total it's totally fine. And I'm sorry to interrupt you on this, but this is something that I this is a hard one for me, to be honest, and my team knows this too. So back to brand, if
Yeah.
you feel like it's overwhelming to pick the things that you want to be known for, start with the things that you don't want to be known for. And I'll use a very basic example and then I'll come back to this, what you're talking about, because it's an important conversation right now. I
Mhm.
remember the first time that I showed alcohol on the Amy Jones group Facebook page. Okay, like
Okay.
I'm clearly of age twice over, and I drink, right, and socially and whatever, it's fine. I'm not talking about any kind of boozy photos. The first photo was a cheers, a cheers for a team photo of like, great job, great year, whatever. Here's a cheers.
Yeah.
I thought long and hard about it because up until that point, we hadn't had any alcohol. We've been cognizant of that. We serve all kinds of people, and we wanted to make sure that our brand showed that we were inclusive of people. We were who we say we were trustworthy. It was just part of what was important to us. And so I want agents and business owners of any sector to get to the point where you wouldn't even post a cheers photo without thinking about first if it supported the brand and how you wanted to show up. And so when you talk about all of these channels where it's really talking to agents,
Hmm.
that's hard for me because it's important to me that my clients know that I'm showing up authentically for them. And I think it's confusing if my content is directed at my peers in sometimes a way that to me feels derogatory to clients or is making fun of clients and their knowledge of the industry or what they've been able to do in the industry. And so my team knows that we have very clear guidelines on what we think is okay to post. And our socials are about showing up our best version of ourselves, of our families, of our community, of the people that we serve. And that doesn't mean don't have bad days. That doesn't mean don't be not authentic. It just means show up in the best version that you can, the realest best version that you can.
Well, so far you've brought up how things evolve, brands evolve because people evolve, but also finding that clarity. You made a decision years ago that's like, oh, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm cognizant of it. I'm going to think through it. I've made the decision. We are comfortable with the cheers photo.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, that then relieves you of the stress
That's
of
right.
every other future time going, well, does this fit? Does that fit? I don't know. So, and again, it doesn't mean that it's like you've done it once and then forever you just go, well, now I just do the
No,
same five things forever. What if you evolve? What if things change? But
and
at
they
the
have.
very least, you can buy yourself the peace of mind that says, I didn't just make that decision willy-nilly one day without having considered it, so I'm just chaotic now. It's like, no, like you went through the exercise,
Mm-hmm.
you asked yourself those questions, and I might ask you to reiterate those questions that you asked
Mm-hmm.
yourself about your brand. I think that can be one of the most helpful things that people take away from this session. Um, but then from there, then you see, okay, all of these things I'm seeing events that are supporting education in the real estate
Mm-hmm.
market. I'm seeing new listing content, I'm seeing blog content, I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing you speaking on camera confidently about what's going on in your market. But this looks timely. This looks
Mm-hmm.
about up to date information.
Mm-hmm.
I love the diversity of the content that still feels cohesive.
It's diverse, but there is a clear plan. As you're scrolling through that, that's the same thing I do. And if you click on stories, the same would be true in the stories. I want to hit all the things that we're doing in a day. And I rely really heavily on my team to help me in doing that because I am not in all the places, right? And so you'll see things on there of my agents who are out working with clients. You'll see us speaking at and supporting our partners. You'll see us running nonprofit events. You'll see us doing, listing marketing, reels, open house setup, putting lock boxes on, talking about new communities that are developing in the area. You'll see us hosting, dinners with our clients or business mixers. So we do a quarterly business mixer that's free to local businesses in the area. Why? Because they're like me. I can identify with the problems that they have, the opportunities that they have, and I can share with them the things that I know, like how to build a brand. And in turn, they look at me and they're like, she's the girl who pours into me. How can I then return the favor? Maybe I know someone that needs some help. And by the way, I trust her because she cared about me, right? That's the whole empathy thing, right? Care about what the people you care about care about. So it's like I bring business owners in my space. I know they need help with branding or marketing or showing up online or building community or plugging in or whatever it is. And I help them with that. And then in turn, they become some of our biggest fans.
Speaking of, I just got a question in the chat
Oh, geez.
from Anthony Malafronte. We're lobbing. We're
Leave
so
it to Anthony. Okay, I haven't read it, but
this
I
is
can
gonna this is
only.
gonna this is the sneaky pilot for the episode of these live streams where the two of you are. I don't want to say it's like it's like Crossfire on old
Let's do it.
CNN days, or it's not
Okay.
Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith arguing about things. But Anthony asks, he says, I gotta ask, why no
Yes.
men on the team? Many could benefit from this kind of messaging and branding, and the little angel emoji.
Yes. Okay. So you don't need the angel emoji, Anthony. It's a great question. What I can tell you is when we talk about brand and we talk about how it evolves, my team that I run here is so much a part of who I am that as I've evolved, I have been lucky enough to create the absolute best community for myself. So the messaging that I share, we work with, coach, help, serve, and support men, women, families, investors, business owners, all of the things you might identify as in the community, we support you. Here within these four Amy Jones Group walls, I have built something that I have never experienced in any other workplace that I have belonged to. And that is a place that is safe, it is encouraging, it is nurturing, it pushes people outside of their boundaries. It there is a thread that binds all of us. And for me, that has included a workspace of women. I do believe that this can be created in any type of workspace. And actually, I do a lot of coaching to help people build cultures on purpose.
And so let's talk a little bit about building culture on purpose, because I think that does so perfectly
Mhm,
flow into and continue with the spirit of building your brand itself. So when we talk about building culture on purpose, we talk about building community on purpose.
mhm.
There's a lot of there's a lot of
That's right.
purposefulness
Hmm.
in your business.
Hmm.
I've heard you talk about how it creates empowered evangelists within
Hmm.
your client communities. I
Hmm.
know that it shows up within your partners as well. Um, how does creating that culture, what is like, I'm thinking first, I think that anybody on this call is probably trying to figure out, how do I create that culture internally for my team, for my
Sure.
office, before it spreads. what are
Yeah.
what are your non-negotiables, or what are some of the things that you how did you approach that? I know, like,
Hmm.
you brought up your past careers and looking back and thinking, like, what stories make me light up? What are the things I want to be known
Hmm.
for? Are there activities or actions that you've gone through and still go through that help you create the definition of that culture that you're looking to create?
For sure. And it was amplified for us, like for many during COVID, right? So when COVID hit, we were very prepared to serve our clients because we already had access to things online, right? So we already had all of our curator tools in place. So we had a social presence that was tied to our website. We were already comfortable with doing virtual showings because we have a lot of people that relocate to Arizona. We had already built relationships with both small business owners and nonprofit organizations because we were showing up and doing those events. And so we had our sort of strategy and how we operated already built. And so when COVID hit, it didn't take anything away from our strategy. In fact, what it did was it allowed us to enhance it through virtual tools. And so we took a lot of what we had been doing one to one and made it one to many by pulling things online. And that also translated into the touch points that we needed for our team internally, because that was one change where we had been in person doing team meetings. And now many of us were moms and we were home managing our kids and our businesses and also showing up for our community in full, garbed clothing. And this now what, 5 years ago. And so immediately when COVID hit, we went to 3 a day Zoom check-ins with our team. And you didn't have to, it was short if you wanted it to be. It did, I didn't care what you looked like, but I saw a need for my team to be that backbone for the chaos that they were experiencing in their own family. So we would just touch in 8, noon, and 5, and you had your kids crawling all over you. It didn't matter, right? But that was really when we started to amplify how important it was that we showed up for each other in community here. And so the things that we do consistently, we don't meet 3 times a day any longer, right? Thank God we are able to see each other in person. But we do have 3 check-ins a week. Monday, we go through our numbers. Tuesday, we have a team meeting in person. And Friday, we do a huddle in the morning that's like, okay, it's the weekend. What do you need? And what are you excited about from the week? And that
Yeah.
happens consistently. Many people will tell you when they've joined our team that they volunteered for the first time within a couple of weeks of joining our team. And sometimes it was the first time that they had ever volunteered. When someone told me that on my team, I was like, okay, we're being consistent in our culture and being on purpose about it, because we're not only serving others, we're giving our team that opportunity to serve in that way. We do twice a year planning sessions with them, full day planning sessions that are in part personal development, in part a community giving component, and in part actual training and goal planning for the year. So everything we do is the same process on repeat. I mentioned when I was in second grade that I started building community. Well, the true story is that when I was in second grade, I started a peer mediation group. So, in all of my years of genius in second grade, I decided that often people's biggest problem was that they didn't feel seen and they didn't have the tools to communicate what they needed. And so I gathered peers, I trained them, I gave them puffy paint matching shirts, and I posted them up on the playground, and we helped people with their challenges. I feel like I've just put that process on repeat with this team. And the things that you mentioned about brand, I run them through the same exercises. So what are the things that you've done before? Where do you have a proven track record of success? Where can you show that you're really good, and why were you really good? What were the things that made you really good at your job? Because it's usually not the language of that sector. It's not, I know what an appraisal is, or I know, it's not that. It's bigger than that. So, what were the things you did before? Where do you have a proven track record of success? What made you really good at those things? What memories do you have of succeeding that made you feel really good? The personal stories, the people, the outcome. It could be the money, but you've got to be able to remember a time where it felt really good. This starts to clue you into your values, what you're passionate about. And then we talk about what you can get paid for, right? And so it's this ikigai, you know, if you've ever heard of like your purpose for being. So it's what can you do? What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What comes easy and natural to you? What challenges do you have to overcome? And what can you make money doing? And I run them through that same exercise. And then we do the same thing I mentioned before. What are the words that you want people to describe you? What are the first things that you want people to say? What's on your do not post list? What are the things that you don't want people to say? What are your posting buckets? If you are on social and someone randomly scrolls through, what do you want to make sure that they see no matter what time of day they come on there? And so we run them through that same brand process, and we ask those questions often.
I have to. I was talking about this with somebody recently. I was a mediator in elementary school. You know what I didn't do? I didn't create the mediation program. That's wild. I remember I can't remember what teacher it was at Churchwell Elementary School. I shouldn't have said that. That might be a security answer to one of my bank information things online.
Well, change it. Change
I
it
should
now.
change it right away. I won't tell any of you my first grade teacher's last name or the name of my first pet.
I was at Rose Lane Elementary, which is not any of my security passwords, but there's my shout out to being an Arizona native.
There you go. There you go. But I love when the origin stories, right? We have so many superhero movies and comic book movies, and it's like, what do we always do? We go to the origin story. So I'm imagining now, what is that? Like an 8-year-old Mindy
Uh-huh.
leading with heart and leading with purpose from the
Yeah.
jump.
I mean,
Um,
if you know me now, it makes total sense.
Totally, totally. All right. And then thank you for going back through those
Yeah.
components of this exercise. So I hope that everyone in the chat, let me know, have you already done something like this with your teams? Are these new, like, are these thought experiments, are these exercises things that you can see yourself benefiting from? I think to me, it's an obvious yes, but drop in the chat if you know what I want to know, what are your buckets? If you've already done
Yes.
this type of exercise, or if you're thinking about it right now, I'd love to hear some folks drop examples of what their buckets would be. What either that
Hmm.
they know they do want to post for and be known for, or sometimes it can be a lot easier to define yourself against what you're not.
Hmm. And I've got a great worksheet that I can share. You can share with
That would
anybody
be
who's
amazing.
registered for the webinar. But it just helps you kind of walk through those pieces too.
I love it. We'll take you up on that and we'll share that with everybody who's watching. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Now so from those, like, is it high level or is that all foundational? I guess it's both. The way that we use language, it's both. It is both at a very high level. It is also literally the foundation on which you stand. Let's jump into some of the more, like, let's say, conventional results of marketing that way. I know you've got
Yeah.
like all of this stuff creates that clarity.
Hmm.
I think Weekend Warrior is one of your pieces of like pillar content that seems to both collect all of the things that you're already doing, but then also give you a place to send people
Totally.
and then spoke out. Let's talk a little bit about some of your content marketing efforts, which is another
Sure.
way that you live your brand, showcase your brand. It's not just telling people that you're a member of the community, it's showing them how integrated and ingrained you are into the community.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about your content strategy through that lens
Okay.
for just a little bit.
So I've got everything up on my end, so I can share it here if that's helpful.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me make sure
Um,
you've got access to screen share.
okay.
I think if you want to go for it. Yeah.
It looks like I can. All
All
right,
right.
let me do this. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah. Just right on Jesse.
There you go. Okay. So what I'm
Absolutely.
going to do is I'm just going to show you some of the different pieces of content and how they kind of all link to each other.
Awesome.
But you'll see hints of community throughout all of this. So this first one, so we have on our website all of our featured listings. And so we have just a really easy way to find all of the things that we're doing from a real estate perspective. And you can see that they all reference a story and a video because we do professional video and photos on all of our listings.
I
So
love
you'll
it.
see all of that here. And plus, since we've been clients for so long, this goes back like 5 years. So you can find a link to all of these pages. But again, that speaks to consistency, right? And not sort of the shiny object kind of syndrome that I think a lot of people have. We think often that we have to always be using the newest thing or the most different thing, when in reality, consumers build trust with people who have been doing something consistently, because then it shows to them that there's some authenticity and integrity in the work that they do. And so for us, you can see a history here in terms of all the listings that we've had. When you click on one of those, though, you'll see what we've created, which is like a landing page for that listing. These are super easy for us to create now. You'll see always we have community photos, and then we also do external links from our website about things that are going on in the area. So this is a really important piece, because when we post on social, we'll post links to this kind of content, which this content also gets sent out in email form to our database. I think we have about a 15,000 person database. And so this goes out to the database as well. But what these links do is it then gives us the ability to connect with people in the communities around the houses that we're listing. So we will often post stories about a listing from the Amy Jones Group Instagram page, tag Verdi, for example, which is this great dining, shopping, event kind of nightlife area in Gilbert, in a really popular area that is also home to one of our newest listings in Cooley Station, which goes live tomorrow. And when we post that, we will tag all those local businesses around us. And it's very common then for those local businesses to reshare our stories, because it's so easy for them to do. And so it's free marketing in that they will repost it. But what's more important is that when they do that, then I send them a little message that just says, thank you so much for reposting it. Because on the other side of that post or that share is a real person just like me, and often a local business owner just like me. And so what I'm doing then is building another relationship with somebody in the area who I can serve, I can collaborate with. We don't often know where relationships will lead. We only have to start the conversation, right? I believe our job is just to like keep opening the doors, keep opening the doors. We don't know what's on the other side, but we know that if we at least start the conversation, there's a potential to create a relationship. So they'll share our posts. Maybe it'll come back to the link. Maybe someone will see the brand. But importantly, in addition to that, I'm starting to build more relationships with people that are in that area. So easy website for us to build. We drop in. We also have video on all of our listings. So that's on YouTube. Easy to drop in the YouTube video here. Then we talk a little bit about it, and we've got our, photos. But what this does is it allows us to control the brand of the listing better than we can in the MLS, because MLS is always going to look like, a clinky dinosaur tool, which we need, but it's not pretty. So this allows it to be pretty. And then again, you'll see that we talk about the things that are going on in the neighborhood and the area. So this is one tool. This gets posted on our website, emailed out to the database, used for links on social. So super accessible. And then you mentioned our weekend warrior. So this has been going on, gosh, it may be since we began with Curator. We used to do what was called What's Up Southeast Valley. And What's Up Southeast Valley started with me in an airport just doing a live about what was happening in the real estate market. That was actually when I was coming back from Inman. Um, 10 years ago, I think, when we were nominated for a community award. And I did this live from the airport called What's Up Southeast Valley. Well, then that turned into, I've always wanted to host my own TV show. And so I just turned it into this like monthly What's Up Southeast Valley TV show that we essentially did online. You can find videos of that on our YouTube page also. And then over time, we realized people needed shorter, more consumable content. And so we turned it into this Weekend Warrior. And what Weekend Warrior is it's a weekly newsletter that goes out to our database. It's so easy to put together because it's actually a web page, but it gets emailed to our database through email marketing and looks like an email newsletter. It also is able to be tracked by each of my agents. So every time we issue it on Friday, they put the link on their phone. They now have a super easy way to connect with anybody that they meet, can, get their contact information so they can continue to chat with them about how we can support them in community. And it has all kinds of stuff in it. So if you scroll down, you can see, here's our most recent one from this past weekend, Weekend Warrior, April 19 through 20. You guys see that, right, on the screen with the eggs up at the top? Yes. Okay. So you can see that even the way that we talk is hopefully the same way I sound right now on this live. I sound like a person. I talking about real estate and community and my family celebrating Passover and our clients celebrating Easter. And I've given them links to our open houses and links to a family dinner night that we're doing next week, where we're going to pack hygiene kits for Carson Junior High and feed our families pizza. We talk about our education series that we're doing online called the Community Connections. We link to recent blog articles that we've posted. So on our website, we have information, how to do things in addition to day in the life of. So you can see links to our blog articles. We give an update on what's happening in the market. But then if you scroll down, you'll see obviously all of our real estate stuff, but then you start to get into our education, our community connections. You can see our upcoming events calendar. So we're helping local businesses learn how to network. We're helping people understand if they're considering being a landlord, what they might do about that. We are doing a Mother's Day giveaway with a local photographer and paying for some mini sessions. I mean, we're volunteering. You've got all different ways for people to plug in. They can kind of just opt into what's important to them. So this is a big piece of our strategy for sure.
It's such like when you mentioned empowering your agents to go out, what it ultimately is building one or two or three, but building one thing that is very clear to an audience. Oh, that's worth asking for, or that's worth giving you my email address for, or that's worth bookmarking your blog so that every weekend I can come back and it's like quick finger on the pulse of everything in the community. Sometimes some folks do it really through an events calendar view. I love the way that it is real estate, it is philanthropy, it is events, it covers all of the buckets that you've been talking about in a way that is easy to scroll, it's easy to look through, and you can feel in just a couple of minutes like, oh, cool. I kind of have a overview of all the things that are coming up. Oh, maybe one of those events I really want to go to. Let me add that to my calendar. But otherwise, I still feel like I'm an informed member of a community that now I think that's one of those ways, like creating evangelists in the community. Oh, this is like my morning too long didn't read. Like, oh, what do I need to know before I'm going into all my meetings today? Oh, thank you. You just empowered me to be in the know and to tell other people. Yeah.
And it also gives us a way to highlight different people that we work with. So, like, we have this partnership with East Valley Moms. So, one of the things when we talk about brand, it's also about how we evaluate our partnerships and who we get into business with. So, there's places, for example, that I advertise from a print perspective, right? I have a couple of magazines, Chandler Lifestyles and Gilbert Lifestyles are two that I advertise from a print perspective here. But it's really not the print for me in why I have those relationships. It's everything else that happens because of the relationship. I'm getting in relationship with people that are community minded. They believe in collaboration. They have enough wiggle room in their business model that they'll let me come in and have my crazy ideas. And they have the flexibility to get on board with them or build something together with them, right? So it's not going to be a company that's not flexible or is so committed to their brand structure that they are not open to collaborating with people. That doesn't work for me. I'm looking for
Mhm.
people that have an online presence, people who have events that I can participate in, because then we're both affecting a similar audience. So if the audience of East Valley Moms, which is East Valley Moms, improves because East Valley Moms provides them events and connection opportunities and ways to, get involved in things to do, and I have a collaboration with them. I now have their value to bring back to my audience. I can provide value to their audience. And we have an overlapping audience that we both get to tap into and provide value to. And so East Valley Moms is one of those partnerships. And then I can highlight them in my newsletter. So I also have a really easy way when I want to get into business with people to say, oh, I have this really cool tool that I send out to 15,000 people, and my agents keep text handy on their phone. Let's do something together. And in return, you'll be in here and you have this big exposure opportunity for you as well. So I'm constantly looking for ways that I can support the people who support us and who have shared audiences that we're all trying to improve.
That creating that virtuous cycle is
Mm-hmm.
even when you mentioned the Verde shopping center, and that there's that it's like it's a lot easier for a small business owner to say like, ooh, that's a cool post that references something that involves me, rather than just like, oh, it's a real estate agent's featured listing. I'm not gonna share your featured listing. That's like you said, it gets the MLS data. But oh, you built a community page that references featured listings that are coming up, but my shopping center or my community is featured in it. It serves
Yeah.
multiple purposes and serves multiple communities. I've got a couple of questions in the chat just
Yeah.
while we're looking at your site, looking at some of these.
Mm-hmm.
Marquise in the chat asks, how are you creating your landing pages? And then
Okay.
similarly, Mike in the chat asks if you have a specific template for sharing featured listings like this on social. I know that you've created templates galore and you've got SOPs and processes. Can you walk just through a little bit of that, how you're creating this content?
Yeah, so I mean, on our website, it's very easy to create our content. And so often what I do is I just come up here and I mean, do you want me to, I can do this live. It's super easy.
Do a live, yeah.
Okay. So I just have to do one click edit to my landing pages. And so they're all super easy for me just to edit in here. And so often what I'll do is when I create any content on here, I just duplicate what I've done last. And then I just come here into my copy and I do edit, and now I can redo it. So like this one that you see here this morning, I did this in about 15 minutes before I jumped on the Zoom this morning,
That's amazing.
because I already have everything all built for me. So I can, go into settings, I can swap out my photos, I can put in my video. I mean, everything is so easy for me to do. So that's all on repeat. My featured listings is the same. I can edit this page and I can just duplicate what I've already built on the page here. So I've already got one from my, previous listing. And so I can just come down here and I can duplicate it. Now I have a second one that I can edit straight from here. So that's super easy. Weekend Warrior, the same thing happens here. So the nice thing about Weekend Warrior is not only can I duplicate this, so I've created for the new week, and come in here, make my edits, put in my new marketing. But then after that, then I email it directly to my database. So if I go into my emails, you can see all of the, things that we've sent out in the past. And there's, hundreds of thousands of probably emails in here that send out to our database that's content driven. And so then I have templates in there that allow me to send that out to our database as well. So we've created a pretty easy system that we flow through. That's allowed me to train people on my team. So in case I'm not available, they can plug in and do it really easily. They don't have to HTML content anything. And then in terms of what we do online, from social, we have photos and video and reels. And so you'll see that content posted. There's like a 3-day marketing period that we do where we drop stuff. So we'll do coming soon, day of listing, weekend warrior. And then we also use some paid tools through Curator to do some retargeting as well.
And I just got another question. Like I know you said it takes about 50, you said about 15 minutes with one of those featured listing posts to update it with, obviously you're creating new copy, new story about the unique listing. Obviously the video itself is going to be probably half. I'm assuming you've got a video resource that you work with in town, or maybe a network of videographers, cinematographers. But then Elena asks, how much time does this take to prepare? Is there a dedicated team doing this?
Well, that's changed over time too, right? I mean, everything we do evolves. And so depending on the margins that I have in a team, the number of transactions my team is doing, the amount of money that we're making, there's been times where we've been very admin heavy. And I had up to, I think, 4 W-2 staff members supporting my team of agents. So we've always been very support heavy. The beauty of the tools that we have, though, is that they're very accessible to our agents. And so we've switched strategy in the last few years to really empower our agents to be able to use these tools at the same level as I'm able to use them. So I build the infrastructure and the platform and then empower them with the ability to share those links so that then any new relationships that they build off of those will go into their database. So right now that I don't have a dedicated team, it's me, and my dedicated team is my team because they're taking ownership of the visibility that they want to have online too. I am showing you my boyfriend, ChatGPT. I don't know if you've met him before, but he's very kind to me. I heard saying thank you and please is causing a big problem in the data world, but I absolutely speak to him and he speaks very kindly back to me. So I'm going to continue doing that. But I only pull this up so that you can see if someone's asking how I shortcut. So I take the description that I put into MLS and I put it here and I say, can you take this description, turn it into a 4-part description? Because I know on my landing page, I want at least 4 sections. Give me headers, longer paragraphs that I can use, and then give me kind of like an overview I can post at the top. And so that's what I told it. And then here's what it gives me, which looks shockingly similar to what you see here.
Right.
Right. And this
strewn
shortcuts my
throughout
time.
a post with
That's
assets, with real video, with real people. It's a lot different from just AI generated copy, a wall of it.
No.
You've got it's infused with humanity and even the way that you've prompted GPT here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you look back, I mean, we have a very long-standing relationship. So me and ChatGPT, he also has gotten to know me very well over time. And so he knows how I talk, but I can also say, like, I don't want to say beautifully upgraded. Like, that sounds cheeseball. Take it out. Give me something else. And they'll edit that for me, right? But it shortcuts my time. And that's because I already know what I want my template to look like. I know I need a paragraph up top. I know I need at least 4 sections. And so it'll create that for me. And then the next thing that I do is I say, thanks, it's perfect. See, I told you I talk kindly to ChatGPT. Thank you, it's perfect. Now, this is me being authentic, even to electronics. I speak the same way I speak to people in real life. Now, can you write me a Facebook post for my personal page to share the team listing with my VIPs, as well as an Instagram post for the Amy Jones group on the details of the new listing lead with the awesome area? And so then it creates for me these posts and I can edit them. I always take out the long dash, right? We all know that, get rid of the long dash. But I let it create it for me. And then I just make my little tweaks. But if you go to my social, what you'll find is very similar to this.
I don't want to stoke any controversy here. I'm an M dash truther. The only reason AI is using it is because AI is looking at what real writers do, and real writers use M dashes. So if
True
it
story.
looks, so that's me. I am also a man for the Oxford comma. I
Yeah.
believe in the Oxford comma.
And
Uh,
two spaces? Are you still two
oh
spacing after periods?
hell no. No, that went, and I'm sorry to Ashley, one of our moderators. I know she is often a two spacer, and that's okay. We have a lot more common ground than we disagree on, and that's okay.
Sure, sure.
I'm not a two space. That's from the era of typewriters. It's
Okay,
fine.
settle down. I'm not that old.
I know.
But that's my shortcut.
When Mavis Beacon taught me typing, I think that she was telling me just once. I don't know.
Yes,
So I
yes.
love the way that you have embraced technology throughout all of your
Oh,
processes
yeah, for
to
sure.
empower your authenticity. I know, like you said, there's a lot of silver bullets and shiny objects, and I always feel like, well, I run the risk of over the course of these sessions, these trainings, these live streams. I hope folks don't. I hope folks don't go, well, okay, it's another tip to share great local content. Like, well, please, I'm just begging. I'm begging all of you to do more of it.
That's right.
I see some of our fellow ambassadors in the chat, Anthony and Amit, and we're gonna talk with Dean about it too. I mean, like I know
Hmm.
Anthony's got an events calendar that he
Totally. And
creates,
Amit has a beautiful brand.
and Amit has a beautiful brand, and he has so much community
Hmm.
content on his
That's right.
site, like literally hundreds of pages, but it all
Hmm.
very similar to the way that your weekend warrior networks
Hmm.
out to your
Yeah,
featured listings, that it networks to your most recently listed properties, that
yeah.
there's a reason why I'm seeing it over and over with the
Hmm.
best agents, with the ones who create the most valuable content, the stuff that I want to tune into and check
Hmm.
in with, and folks who are genuinely involved in their communities.
Yeah.
So thank you for showcasing the content strategy. Obviously, I think people have probably gathered that this website's a curator website. It's we, we try not we're not too overly promotional about our stuff, but we love the way that you use our tools. We're
Hmm.
so happy the way that we've built the site has worked for you and for your business, that it's made it so that you've been able to communicate your brand and expand your brand and be true to your brand, but in a way that, regardless of how much or how little admin support that you have, that it is allowing you and your team to be consistent, to stay on message. And I just think I love what you've done with the site. I love what the site has allowed y'all to do, but you do such
Hmm.
great work of making it all cohesive and clear. I really love it.
Thanks. I am grateful, like I said, for the partnership because being a business owner is difficult. And having done this now for 13 years, I have seen the ups and downs of the industry. I myself, I got married, I've been divorced, I had my son, I've had major life changes. We've had people on our team go through major life transitions. The world went through COVID. And in spite of all of those things that have happened to us, we have been able to move and lead from a place of empathy and curiosity and leaning in. And we couldn't do that if we had to constantly be rebuilding our tools. And so I just want to thank you also for giving us this platform because this has allowed us to go deeper and farther with our relationships. It's allowed me to bring agents into my community and feel confident that I have the best tools for them that not only will help bring them business, but will allow them to establish themselves in the ways that are most true and honest to them. And it allows me to come from a place of gratitude with my partners as well, knowing that I have a support tool behind me that I can use to shine a light on all of the cool things that they do. So I want to say thank you to you. And I can't see Ashley or Wendy either, but your entire team is built on the same community principles that we have built our business on and that we continue to invest in our community. And so I'm just very grateful for that.
It's a mutual admiration society for sure. It's I can't believe how quickly this session went. We're already at 12:05 out west, which means that we're 5 minutes over what I expected to be at this point. Wendy, I'd love for yeah, has already done it. Wendy just dropped in the chat how to connect and follow Wendy to follow Mindy. We've got all of her social links are at that link below. Definitely stay in touch with her. Give her a follow. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, if we had more time, is what you just started talking about was the way that it empowers your team, the way that it
Yeah.
allows. Like, so I know that talking about growing your personal brand and helping turn you into a locally known expert. That what I've seen you do is that you're setting your team members up to do that as well. That's part of how
Hmm.
you attract more agents to your business and the way that you
Yeah.
support them and keep them around. Again,
Hmm.
not these flashy, shiny objects, but
Hmm.
just smart processes, supportive
Hmm.
processes, and being
Hmm.
genuinely invested in your community and in the people that you work with.
Yeah.
The longer term value of those relationships that you've invested in. So I can see that being a future session that we might
Yeah.
hold, where we talk about the way that your systems and processes go along with your technology that allow your agents, that allow you to be a great support for your agents, for them to grow and to
Yeah.
showcase what they're doing.
For sure.
There's a lot of possibility for what we can share. Mindy, do you have any typically I always want you, like, what do you want to share with the audience that we haven't had a chance to say just yet as we're wrapping things up?
I think the only thing that I would leave everybody with is just that you have such an opportunity to make a huge impact on people. And the beauty of being a business owner is you get to decide what is that legacy that you leave. We talk often about, your why and making your why big enough for you to get out of bed every day. But those of you with families, it's like, duh, my why is my almost 6-year-old kid. But that isn't what gets my butt into my office seat every day. It's think about those things. What are the tangible within reach? What are the words you want people to describe you with? Like, what are the things that make you feel really good about what you do and build your brand around that? And if you do that, you will be able to sustain any market shift, any change to the environment, anything that happens around you, because you will be showing up in the most authentic and true way that you can for yourself. And there truly is no better way to do business.
I it I can't believe we're at 7 minutes over. It's making me think about Sean Acor. It's making me think about Sean Acor. Do you know it's the happiness advantage? Have you
Hmm.
had a chance? I've got to hear him speak live a few years ago. I was listening to his books and reading his books right after that. He talked about the gratitude. He talked about Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
the thing that everyone does at Thanksgiving. You go around in the circle and you say, like, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? And everyone says the same exact things. And he says,
Right.
so he knows that it's one of those things that, like, but yeah, when you start really trying to work on yourself, you start writing down the things that you're grateful for. But he
That's
said
right.
that the exercise that he learned through his scientific approach is you can't write the same thing. You have to.
Hmm.
So his challenge to himself is that he writes something that he's grateful for, and it's a different thing every day because
I know. I love
the
it.
gratitude part is consistent, but it's literally making your brain. It's not that just thinking about what you're grateful for, and you say, "Oh, my friends and my family and my career." If you just do that, that doesn't
Hmm.
change any part of your brain. It is putting
No.
it's putting gratitude out there, but it doesn't require any wrinkles in your brain. It doesn't require any
Hmm.
synapses to fire, the neurons to fire. So if you think through different things, and that's the reason that I thought of it, other than it being a really great thing to do all the time, is
Hmm.
you have strong systems and strong views, but you talk with there's still such a fluidity within it that you are comfortable with change and comfortable and seeking growth, but that the work that you've done, the foundation that you've laid, has it seems like it's allowed you to pursue that growth and that discomfort with
Hmm.
an open mind and with the
Totally.
confidence that you know that what you're going to do next is
Hmm.
consistent with who you want to be and the
Hmm.
way that you want to show up for your community. And
Hmm.
I'm just so grateful for you today. My unique gratitude is for you, Mindy, and the way that you share with our community and with the real estate industry writ large, your expertise, your experiences, with such an open heart. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. We'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week on another live stream. Look out for more information in the